Welcome to The Art Confidential, the podcast where we dive into the parts of being a creative that usually stay off Instagram.
We're your hosts, Andreina and Jacqui. We're sitting down with artists, gallery owners, creative insiders, and each other for honest conversations about art, creativity, self-doubt, connection, and the real life that happens in between the making.
This isn't about perfection, and it's definitely not about romanticizing the hustle.
It's about creating a space where curiosity thrives, community matters, and we all grow together.
Let's go.
Okay, we're doing it. We're talking about money.
Let's take a deep breath, everybody. I know this is not everybody's favorite topic, and we probably all avoid it, but we got to do it.
Because pricing your work, it's emotional, it's confusing, and a lot of us are just guessing.
And you're probably underpricing, overworking, getting frustrated, and resenting along the way.
So today we're getting into it. How to price your work, what frameworks actually help, how to say no, how to work with galleries, and how to build a system that actually supports your life.
Welcome to The Art Confidential. Let's do it.
Here we are. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about money today, and it's not a comfortable topic. I don't think any artist likes to talk about money. We're probably not very good at it, but we're going to try to make it easier for all of you listening by giving you some tips, frameworks, and also sharing some of our hard lessons that we learned.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Oh,
my goodness. Do you want to start with that? Our hard-learned lessons, like what we did wrong or what?
Well, I'll tell you, just to kick it off, I'll tell you this story. When I was first starting, I approached, and I'm not going to name the gallery, but I approached the gallery and we started working together. And on our first phone call, they told me that my prices were too low. And I was so new, I didn't really know what I was doing. And they told me to basically multiply it times 3.
Ooh.
When I tell you, I'm not even at that price point today. And now we're talking 10 years ago, okay? And I said, oh, really? You think so? So here I am, pretty brand new to this. I'm pricing my art, $7,000, $8,000, right? Like, of course, they got it at the gallery.
I still haven't done that.
Me neither. And I tried it for a few months. There were no sales. And of course, and I went, I got my work back from that gallery. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to let somebody else tell me. I need to do what feels right to me. So that was my first wake up call. So a lot of the pricing, yes, there is a framework and there is a way to do it where it's going to make sense to you, but you also have to be comfortable with where you're at and be honest with yourself and trust your gut. And I didn't do that back then, but trust me, I do it now.
Oh my gosh. Yes. There is kind of that sweet spot, like in your gut. When you feel like you're making a sale and it feels like not good because you feel like it's worth so much more than that, that doesn't feel good.
Right.
But then when you say, okay, I'm going to, let's say, triple my prices, and then all of a sudden your body's going, that doesn't feel right. So I think there is a sweet spot based on a lot of factors that we're going to discuss today, but also that gut feeling really has been a guide for me.
Absolutely. It's like we said, it's emotional. You also have to understand your emotions because most of the time it's telling you something. And I know back then it was telling me, this is crazy, but they must know more than me, right? And no, they didn't. Right? And so, it's important to listen to your emotions, but in the sense that it has to be comfortable. If you're feeling really uncomfortable with what you're doing, then that's not the right method for you.
And I think that vibe comes across, especially if you're dealing with customers directly. If you're feeling, I think they sense that. But also, I think that gallery or a lot of galleries, it's important to understand that they are usually taking 50%. Sometimes 60-40, but mostly 50%. So if your prices are really, really low, they're not making any money.
Right.
So why would they give up valuable wall real estate if they feel like, we're just making $50 or $100 off? It's not worth their time.
Correct.
So it's really important when you are approaching galleries, you have to keep that in mind, that they are there to make money. They don't really, as nice as you might be, they don't really care about that. It's a business.
That's right. It's a business, but it's also a business for you.
Yes.
So it has to work for both. It has to work for the gallery if you're working with a gallery, but it also has to work for you. Having a consistent framework is going to help you because it's going to let your customers, your collectors know that they can trust you. And it's all about that trust. If you're all over the place, just think about it from a customer perspective, right? If you're shopping anywhere and one day you go and something is $10 and the next day you go it's $100, you're like, what? I can't trust these people. Like, is it worth $10 or is it worth $100, right? Same thing with your work. You have to be consistent and you have to build that trust.
So I will share my beginner story. Okay, I didn't know. So I took a class and she's like, hey, you want to be in the show? I'd never been in a show. It was probably one of my first paintings, really. And I thought, and she said, we take a cut naturally. Okay, great. So I thought of a price that felt 50%, that felt good to me. So I raised the price. What I didn't do on my brand new website was raise the price there. Oh, didn't know. So I just thought, well, yeah, no big deal. Well, a couple came in to buy the piece and they were looking at it and they wanted to learn more about me. So they went on my website and they saw the exact same painting.
Oh, no.
For half the price. So they went up to the gallery owner and said, we're not paying this price if it's for sale at half. So she called me up fuming.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
And of course, because I was undercutting her, I was underselling. Well, I didn't know about that. So she cut me a break and she said, I understand this is your first show ever, but we have to give him the price that he saw on your website. We have to honor that price, which meant I made nothing.
Oh, no.
But it was a lesson learned.
Yeah. I mean, you have to learn those lessons and that's the only way that you're going to get to feel comfortable with where you're at. So there are lessons to learn. You probably lose some money.
Oh, I lost a lot.
Yeah, but hopefully we're giving you some tips today, guys, that will help you figure out how not to make those mistakes. I mean, you might still make other mistakes. We're still making mistakes. So
sure.
We can't promise you that this is going to lead to no mistakes, but what we can tell you is what has worked for us. There's certain things, at least for me, that I'm still working through, and I can share some of that, a little later in the episode. But we're not promising no mistakes. We're still making mistakes, but hopefully it helps you. All right. So how are you pricing right now? What do you do?
Let's talk about beginner, established. I mean, we talked about undercutting galleries. So we know your prices have to be consistent across
100%.
the board. So when you think of a price, are you guessing? Are you looking at other artists around you? Like where our studios are, there's multiple artists on our floor and the prices range dramatically different.
I agree.
There's some people that are super low price and some people that are higher price. So is that a factor?
So we actually created a worksheet that if you sign up for our newsletter, we'll send it to you guys. And it has some really good questions to ask yourself when you're thinking through, how do I even get started? Where am I at? And comparing yourself is actually a good thing.
Yes.
Right? When I started, and I still do it today, I try to find artists that feel similar to me in my style, similar to me in the size of paintings and the mediums that I use. And I see how they're pricing their work. And then I try to be honest with myself. Am I at the level of these artists? Right? And how are they pricing their work? And that's how I started. For me, it was very important to start high. Not so high that it was not achievable, but high enough that I wanted it to be seen and valued as fine art and not as maybe a craft. Not that there is anything wrong with that, but that's what I wanted for myself. So that's the comparison that I did, was looking at some artists that felt that were fine artists, similar style to mine. And that's how I got started. So we definitely suggest that you do that.
Yes, because especially if you're just starting out, you don't want to be way more expensive than people similar to you that have been doing it for longer, but you also don't want to be really at the bottom either, because then people say, what's wrong with this person's art? There must be something wrong. I did have an artist in my space at one point, and they were just starting out and they were charging, we're going to talk about this formula too, which we also have a pricing guide for, per square inch, 50 cents per square inch.
Oh, wow.
And I said, oh, no. I know you're just starting out. You cannot do this because I don't want to cuss. I said, but you're making the rest of us look like blank holes. Because
and what ends up happening in the mind of a collector, right? It's not just what it can do to the other artists that are in the same space, but in the mind of a collector too, they might not see the value because it's not valued properly, right? So if it's too inexpensive, they might say, yeah, that's not valuable. And that might not be the case at all. It might,
right.
So you really have to be honest with yourself and not undercut yourself, not underprice yourself. Get to a sweet spot where it feels a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I think it's still good to feel a little bit uncomfortable. Like, wow, can I pull this off? I think that's okay too.
Yes.
But not uncomfortable enough that you're scared or you're feeling any kind of shame or anything, right? So there is a sweet spot in there.
Because if you don't believe that your work is worth that price, that comes through. It comes through in how you're presenting it, how you're showing it, how you're talking about it. If you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. So it has to be, again, that sweet spot. So let's talk about the formula. Like, where do people start? So there is a mathematical formula that a lot of artists use based on size. So it's a price per square inch. And this is where it varies. So you would start with figuring out your per square inch, how big your painting is. If it's 12 by 12, 10 by 14.
Well, you would do, let's just say it's a 10 by 10 painting, then that's 100 square inch. If I did that math right, I am an engineer after all, I should be able to do this. And then you multiply that times your rate. So let's just say that your rate is $1.5 per square inch. Which
is a good rate to start out with, let's say.
It's a really good rate. And of course, it also depends geographically, right? But I think for where we are in North Carolina, that is a pretty decent rate, $1.50 per square inch for starting artists, right? So that would price 10 by 10 times 1.5. That would give you what that piece is worth. And we did do a worksheet that you guys can download and take a look at it.
All the math.
All the math is done.
All the math is done.
Math is hard, but we took that and made it for you. You can print it out and you have a cheat sheet ready to go. And what that does is that it removes the emotion. It creates consistency, right? And it gives you that structure. So the only caveat that I'm going to say to that, I'm curious to know how you use it, but I have a square inch price for my canvas pieces or panels. And then I have a different price point for the work I do on paper.
Me too.
Okay, good. All right. So I do that because, it's different style. It does take me different time. There is still consistency, right? Because I'm still doing paper versus canvas, but it is a different price point.
Also, there's framed and unframed.
That's right.
To think about. So our chart that we've done gives you all of the math for standard sizes, 8 by 8, 10 by 10, 12 by 12, whatever, going all the way up. Plus, it's based on where you are, let's say, in your career. We go from like 1.5 all the way up to $5 per square inch. There is a big range. So again, you could just figure it out. All the math is done. But there is these gray areas, which for a while I was doing unframed pieces always. So I kind of stuck with that math. But then I have two different frame styles that I do.
Oh, you have the best frames. I'm so jealous.
But they're two different things. So I do a floater frame for a lot of pieces, wood or canvas. But I also do these repurposed frames made of, or I should say these kind of very interesting organic frames made from repurposed furniture, chairs that I paint and finish. And they take a really long time because there's a bunch of layers that go on. So, and I only put that on more of my whimsical work, which also where I'm kind of in a gray area is that my modern abstract work kind of draws, I try to price things the same, but I found that the more whimsical my work was, the less people wanted to pay, which was very interesting for me.
That is interesting.
And I'm still not, haven't quite figured that out exactly yet. I'm trying to get more consistent, but I do see there are different buyers and different feedback from buyers and clients.
But I think you hit, hold on, the nail on the head. Am I saying that right? You hit the nail on the head. I always say these sayings wrong, but
I love it.
It's about consistency, right? So if you feel that your body of work, I have a body of work that I call the Gaia.
Oh, I love those.
It's very different than my other work. It's with ink and they're very fast when I'm painting them, right? Which means a lot of them actually end up not being any good and I have to throw them out. But that's a completely different buyer and a completely different price point.
And they're black and white, are they not? You're not mixing a bunch of paint colors. It is.
That's right. It is completely different. And I used to only do them on paper. I did figure out I love using the ampersand aquaboard panels. I don't know if you've ever used them, but oh my gosh. And we'll drop a link in the show notes. Those things are amazing because they're ready to hang. You can paint. And I know I'm getting off track, but this is how my mind works. But
this is how we roll.
You can paint using water media like watercolors or ink, but it's ready to hang. No need to frame. Because sometimes the look of glass takes away for me that experience. So anyway, if you haven't tried it, try it. But my point is, I'm consistent on the pricing for that body of work versus, my layered animals, etc. That's a completely different price point. And you're right. It's sometimes it's the same buyer, but a lot of times it's a different buyer too. So you have to just be consistent, not on all of your work, but however you decide to break it up, be consistent within those categories.
I think that's key. Like you said, if there's works on paper, keep that consistent. Framed works on wood panel, that's going to be more expensive.
Right.
Keep that consistent. Some pieces I love painting on paper, and sometimes I frame them, and sometimes I don't. I put them in a sleeve. Well, obviously, if I frame them, that's a lot more expensive. But some people like that turnkey. They just pick it up. It's done. But other people, they want to pick out their own frames. They're very particular. They want a frame or a mat to match their decor, whatever. So I put that in a sleeve, and that's going to change it too. So keeping that frame and unframed situation is also important to factor in.
Yeah. And I think to understand, once you put it out there, right? You decided on your formula, you decided on your price, and you put it out there. Now you have to see what happened, right? Was the response good? Did it sell right away? My husband cracks me up because every time I sell something really fast, his first response is, it was too cheap. And that cracks me up because I'm always like, no, it just means it was really good. He's like, no, it means it was too cheap. And he's always pushing me, right? But understanding the demand to set your prices is so important, right? And I do think there comes a point in your career, right? So you're going to pick whatever formula works for you where you're at. So let's just say you start at 1.5 and your work is selling like hotcakes. And actually now you can even keep up with demand. Well, guess what? It's time to raise, right?
Absolutely.
And you slowly, and we're not talking that you're going to go from 1.5 to
5.
Exactly. But you can go 1.5 to 1.65 and then you can see how that feels. And then just do it slowly over time because customers, especially I have collectors that have 5 of my pieces. So they've collected over the years, right? Well, they don't want to see a huge jump. They're okay with a little bit of a jump, right? And they'll adjust to that. But they understand that as you're getting more well-known, right? As demand increases, the price is going to increase, right? And they'll continue to support you. But if you do it slower, I think that builds that trust with your buyers too.
Also, on the flip side, if you have collectors and you decide to lower your prices significantly, now your collectors are watching and they say, wait a minute, I paid $3 per square inch for this. And now you're down to $2. Did what I invest in just go down in value? Yeah. That really angers them. And it's so funny because I had, we could do a whole episode on haggling and how to handle that, but and why people feel they can haggle with artists, but not their dentist or their surgeon or their
100%.
plumber or their hairdresser or their waiter. Again, that's a whole other episode. But I was talking to another very established artist and I said, yeah, I sometimes get these people that say, well, can you do any better? And he said, I said, what do you say? And he said, this is what I say. It depends on how they're asking it. If they're truly, you can tell in their tone.
Right.
If they're wearing like a Rolex watch and carrying a Birkin bag and whatnot, and they're just being snitty about it, he said, he'll go, can I do better? Huh? You know what? I can do better. This is totally underpriced. I should be charging double. Thank you for that.
Yes, I love it.
I was like, yeah. So if your prices are going up and down, up and down, up and down, people are watching and then they start waiting for all the sales or they're waiting for and they're not going to buy your work at the price that you really want to sell it. They're going to wait for you to waver and go down.
Yeah.
So
this brings up a good point that I wanted to talk about. Like, how did you say no, right? Somebody comes and Jacqui and I both have open studios, which means customers can talk to us directly. This is different than if you're just working through galleries, right? Because the galleries have to deal with saying no. But we have to say no a lot of times. Can you do better? Is there a price if I do this? If there a better price? And I think one of the things that I've learned to do, and actually my studio mate is so good at this, Molly, she is very good at redirecting people because she has different price points. So she'll say, well, actually, that's my original work and that's how this is priced. But I also offer these reproduction G clays that she retouches with oil paint. And I do the same with acrylic on my G clays. And that's a different price point. And you can explain the value there. And then you also have maybe your paper prints, right? So you can redirect people. So it's not just saying no. I think that's an easier message to give to collectors.
Yes. It's lots of options for sure. And that because you don't want to shame someone either.
Right.
You don't want to be like, no, or, make them feel bad. Some people, they don't mean to put down your work. They just want to feel like they're getting some value. And so, yes, a lot of galleries will automatically give a 10% discount. Some don't, some do. And again, I kind of look at what's the tone? What,
right.
Are they just doing it just to be jerks? Or is it really an issue? And yes, redirecting to a giclée or a different size, or maybe this piece that's not framed, or maybe a piece on paper. Yes. Or I will work with some people, especially if they buy multiple pieces.
Exactly.
Let's say they want to buy 3 pieces. Well, yeah, I'm going to cut them a deal for sure. So it really depends on the situation. But what you don't want to do is always just say, yes, I'll take whatever. Because desperation. Or
I'll do it for the exposure. Oh, if you give me that's my favorite. I'm like,
that's another episode.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't work for exposure.
Exposure does not pay the rent.
It does not. But yes, we hear that a lot as artists. So I'm sure people can relate to that. All right. Another good topic that we should touch on. And I actually don't do this. And I don't know. I don't think you do either. But do you do commissions?
That's a tough one. It depends.
Okay.
I guess everything for me is gray area, shades of gray. If somebody knows my work and knows me, like what I do well, and if it feels in alignment, again, if my gut is saying, I really want to help these people out, yes. If somebody, like I don't do landscapes of beaches or, I just don't do certain things.
Yeah.
And if somebody asks me, oh, I love your style or whatever, can you do this? And I feel that it's completely out of my wheelhouse. It's just not what I do. And it would feel awful for me to be doing it. It would feel like work. It would feel stressful. And I probably can't give them what they're wanting.
Right.
And a lot of times I will redirect them to an artist who does do what they're looking for. But sometimes I'll say yes if they give me, if there's 2 things. If they give me complete free reign, really, and they know my work and just say, go for it, I trust your style. Yes. If they say, or they're very specific, I like this painting, and this painting because of what you did with this. And I love the colors in this painting that you did. And I feel like they are very clear in their direction and it's something that I can deliver, I will do it.
Okay. So,
But a different price.
yes. So,
Yes.
first, I'm going to tell you what I do.
Okay.
Because it's not what I suggest people do. I want to tell you so you don't do what I do. But then we're going to talk about how it should actually work if you're open to commissions. But the way that I for the most part, do not take any commissions at all. The only time I take commissions is, again, if somebody says, for example, right behind me right now, I have a swimming bear, and I painted so many swimming bears over the years. If somebody says, I want a swimming bear, I don't care what it looks like, I just want a swimming bear, I'll take it, and I'm actually working on a commission like that next month. But for the most part, I say no. And the way I actually work on commissions, and again, this is not what you should do, but this is just what works for me because it removes the emotional side of it that I put on myself. It's not the customer putting this on me, it's me, because in my perfectionist brain, this is what happens, right? I get in my head and I cannot do the work. So what I do is I'll say, yes, I'll paint you a swimming bear, but tell me what size you're looking for. And they'll say 36 by 36 or whatever. I say, okay, I'm going to paint a swimming bear. If you like it, you're going to get the first choice to buy it. That's it. If you don't want it after I paint it, no problem, no loss. That's it. You do not need to worry about it. That's how I do it.
That's because you do it anyway and you know it'll sell.
I know it will sell.
If they say, I want a swimming bear with a party hat on and
right, I probably won't.
Glasses.
Exactly.
When if it's so specific that you know if they don't like it, you're not going to be able to resell it. That's different. But you know this is in your wheelhouse, correct?
Yes.
Right?
But the reason why I say this is not how you should do it, because really for commissions, you should be taking a deposit. This is what doesn't work for me. Even if it's something that I know I can paint, I don't like taking a deposit because then I feel like I'm painting for this person to like it. When I don't take a deposit and I just say, I'll show it to you, you get first choice to buy, it removes that emotional connection for me to the buyer. I'm no longer trying to paint to please them. I'm just painting what I want. And they just have the pick. Now, that's not how it should work. You really should take a deposit. That's what I'm saying. Don't do as I say, or don't do as I do as I say. Take a deposit, and they should cost more. Again, that's something that I also don't do, but they should. If you're somebody that's taking commissions, especially like portrait commissions, pet commissions, take a deposit. They should absolutely cost more. And the other, you should have a contract. And one stipulation you should have in there, which I talk about this all the time to people that do commissions, is you should have a maximum number of revisions you're going to do to this painting.
Yes.
Because I hear it all the time. This person is on revision number 25. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, no, and that's funny. The same thing goes with voiceover work too. Revisions, how many free revisions, or then what's the revision fee? But yeah, it's just funny that it's similar like that. Yes, and something else that I have done, again, if it's so specific, like you're painting a portrait of a family, you're not going to be able to resell. If they say no, you're not going to resell that person's child that you just painted. You know what I mean? Like, that's it. So I also had an experience where somebody wanted something very specific, but it's what I do anyway. Let's say like 2 birds. And they just said, I want teal and these colors. Okay. It's not so specific that I can't resell it.
Right.
And I know it's going to sell because I sell a lot of it, like the swimming bear. Sometimes I will do 2 side by side.
Oh, that's nice.
I don't tell them. So shh. Don't tell. This is just like an artist tip if you want. I do 2 side by side. I only show them the one. But if they say, then I say, well, I happen to have the second one. And if they say no to that one, then we're done.
Yeah,
we're done. But if they pick the second one, let's say, and they go, oh yeah, that's more of what I wanted, I know I can still sell that first one.
Yeah.
But it kind of, and I do them side by side so that it's not, I'm just working at the same time, knowing
Right.
I'm going to sell one of them. But again,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's
And
smart.
I'll tell you a personal story. The reason why I stopped taking actual commissions that were more personalized is because I took one commission, and this is nothing to do with this customer. She was lovely and she didn't even require revisions. She was so happy with it. But it was very specific what she wanted. And there is no way I could have sold this to somebody else because, again, it even had pieces of, it was a landscape, but it had things that were special to this family. It took me months. When I tell you it took me months because I was so stressed out that I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so I was so stressed out that they weren't going to love it. And then after I finished it, and we were talking about artist block before we started taping, I didn't paint again. I think it was like 6 months. It completely blocked me from anything because I put so much emotional stress on myself for this commission. And then after that, I was like, wait a second, like, what am I doing? This is not for me. And there are definitely artists that are very good at doing commissions and they don't have that emotional stress that I have. That's great. If it works for you, 100% do it because that's actual income you can count on. So 100% go for it. But for me, it was the opposite. It blocked me to the point that I could not paint for 6 months after.
Wow.
And that's when I stopped. And when I said I stopped, oh my gosh, it was like a weightlifter off my shoulders. It was similar to when I said, I'm not going to breastfeed these babies when I had my twins. Listen, I tried for like 3 weeks and then I'm like, it's either my sanity or this, and formula is just fine. So the weightlifter off my shoulder. Sometimes you have to know what you need to do for your own mental health.
Absolutely. That comes first because you cannot force the inspiration and creativity. If you do your work, that stress shows in the work. I believe there is so much energy in the work that just comes out. Although I will say this too, I know of a portrait artist who does these absolutely beautiful portraits of not specific people. And it's kind of hard sometimes to sell a picture or a painting of someone that people don't know, even though they're very stylized and really cool. But she uses them as a way to get commissions. When she displays them, people say, oh my gosh, I love this. And again, this is a portrait artist, kind of different. They'll say, can you do, a commission of this person? And that works really well for her. So painting portraits is a little different than, like, let's say abstracts or swimming bears. Yeah,
absolutely. All right. Switching gears. Let's talk about, because we already talked about the gallery pricing and being consistent.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about selling strategy. So what strategies work well to sell your work? Because, we love painting, of course. We love creating, but we also want to sell because we don't need 100 paintings sitting in our house. So what works? What doesn't work? At this point, you've set your price. You're comfortable with where you're at. You know how you're going to display it, whether it's locally somewhere or on your website. So you kind of have figured that out. But what actually works? And I'll tell you, and I found this secret. I don't apply it very well. So again, do as I say, not as I do. I've tried, like with my guys, etc. But what works really well is working in a series and releasing that collection as a series. And I actually did that for the show that I'm opening next week. It is a body of work. And that's what sells best. I've seen these artists that are very, very successful, and I've been following them for years. And I watch what they do, and this is how they do it. They will do a series. It can be anywhere between 5 and 25 paintings, right? It doesn't have to be, it's whatever you're comfortable with. And then decide how you're going to release them. Build that momentum, build the excitement, right? Grow your newsletter subscriber list. If you're selling in art markets, etc., make sure that you're collecting emails. Make sure that you're collecting emails to your website and start building that excitement. This series is coming out, May 15th. Make sure you sign up. Subscribers will get first dibs, right? Because
I like that.
Yes. Then the collectors get excited because then they're like, well, I'm a subscriber, so I'm going to have first dibs before anybody else sees it. You can lock your website so that only your subscribers have the password when you launch your collection. And then you can open it to the public a couple of days later, right? It gives your collectors kind of like that. I don't know. It just makes them feel special, right? Because it's kind of like it's my secret. my secret collection that I'm releasing just to you guys for now. That works really well. What works, and again, I've done it before. I'm not very good at it, but it's in my goals to do that more often with my work and release it in this way. Have you tried that before?
Well,
Jacqui?
it's funny you ask. So I told you I really don't work in series, which I'm trying to figure out how to do more. Like I have a big abstract, then I have my wine kitty, right? I also have not ever had a mailing list until 3 weeks ago.
Well, I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. So I am really excited that I now am collecting a mailing list. And people had signed a guest book like years ago, and I never did anything with it, which I think is a missed opportunity.
100%.
Hugely. So I'm excited because I am not a big fan of having tons of sales for the reasons I explained earlier, that your collectors or people that paid full price get angry.
100%.
Because they feel that the value of the work is going down that they invested in. However, when you have, let's say, you've done a series and you've got like 2 left, or you're switching gears, or you're spring cleaning, and you just want to release some, I think it's great to have a limited sale. But what I think it's really important, which is what I'm going to be doing, is to my collectors only.
Yes.
And that could be just the mailing list people, or perhaps Instagram followers. That is another perk of having an Instagram followers. You say, this is just for you guys. So I'm going to go off on a little tangent right now, but during COVID, the pandemic, in the River Arts District, we participated in the International Artist Support Pledge. And what that is basically is that we as artists, so everything was shut down. There were no galleries. Our studios were closed. Everybody's home. Everyone's on their computer. Everyone's bored. So this pledge was basically, the idea was that we were going to sell small pieces, and that could be 6 by 6, or it could be up to 12 by 12 for a set price, $200.
Oh,
that's
wow.
it. And then as we sold those pieces, we pledge that once we reach $1,000, we are going to buy a piece for $200 from another artist.
Oh,
so
I love that.
that's why it's the support pledge. So a bunch of us kind of banded together and did that. And
That's beautiful.
what we did is we only had Instagram followers at that point. So we released pretty much almost a new painting every single day. And we gave like a little sneak peek, and we would say, okay, this painting is going live at 9 o'clock, or I'm going to release a painting every day at 9 a.m. And people were literally sitting with their finger on that button.
That's awesome.
And we sold so much work, and I actually collected a bunch of pieces because I was making money. I was selling, inexpensive work, but I was also buying work from other people.
So
but
yes,
the point is
collaboration. Once again.
Collaboration. And it was that VIP list. Only those Instagram followers got those deals. They were the only ones that knew about it. So I do think for rewarding your people with those, limited series or first look series or a sale, I think is a wonderful sales plan. I'm excited.
100. And listen, I love my Instagram followers. I feel like I have the best followers ever. I never have had like mean people like come at me on Instagram. But I still think it's so important to have your email list, because we don't know what's going to happen, with these social platforms. One day they could decide to take it all away. And then what? Right? Or you can get hacked. It's happened to friends of mine. They get hacked and they lose everything. So having your email list is so important. And I'm not saying that I've tried to be like, I'm going to send an email monthly or something. And sometimes I do. But for the most part, I don't. It's only when I have something to say. Like, for example, I'm opening my new show. So yesterday I sent a catalog of a preview, a peek to all my subscribers. And it's a special catalog that I made myself. The gallery didn't make it, with my thoughts, my inspiration, a playlist I curated, right? So it's like a special treat. So when you do things like that, I got a bunch of emails back from subscribers like, I love it. This was beautiful. Thanks for sharing. So it's so important. So yes, 100% still take care of your Instagram followers, but please start your email list, everybody, because that's the only thing you truly own.
Yes, 100%. I love that. And that's why I'm late to the game, but
But
here
you
I
did
am.
it. You did
And I
it.
also like, and this is another thing with email lists. I know this doesn't have anything to do with pricing, but I also don't want to bombard people with a newsletter every week and stuff. It's like too much. And some people are like, people add me. I get newsletters I never signed up for.
I know.
I'm like, oh. So be intentional about your
Be intentional for sure,
yeah.
and treat them like it's like it's a treat to be part of your email list, right? So they get the first view of your work. It's just so important. I think it's so important. So again, the email list, it is part of pricing because it's a selling strategy. It's how you take care of your collectors. It's how you make them feel special. So definitely something to keep in mind.
And that's why we're doing that for our subscribers. Why you will get this free information, the chart, the how to know where you are in your pricing. And I'm telling you, I'm so excited because this has clarified stuff for me. I'm using it. I'm printing it out on cardstock and laminating it.
100%. I am too, because I am actually due, and I should probably say this to my collectors first, but I am actually due for a price increase. And it makes me so nervous, right? Because I paint really fast, as you know, and I don't want to sit with a bunch of paintings. I love the idea of paintings going to people's homes. So I do get the comments from other artists like, you need to raise your prices all the time. And I'm like, yes, but also I love when my work goes to people's homes. So that's also how I price my work. I price my work based on the time that it takes me to paint as well. So I take that into consideration because I want them to go to people's homes. I don't want to have a storage full of my paintings. So it's helped me realize that I am due for a price increase, which is probably going to happen after my show. But what this does is it gives you that clarity and that structure so that it takes the emotion out of it, right? You can look at it with clear eyes and say, okay, this is where that needs to be. And I need to reassess how I'm pricing.
And for sure, like, let's be honest, supplies, paints, wood, shipping, all has gone up. I mean, there's cost of living and we have to adjust with that, unfortunately.
100%. Like sometimes I see some of the artists, how they're pricing their work. And I'm like, I don't think that even covers the material. So
no, I've seen that too.
Don't underprice yourself because you will just end up frustrated and, resentful probably, right? Because you'll see other people selling and you're not. And it might be that it is too low. That the psychology of something being too low for a collector really can influence whether they buy that piece or not. So
absolutely. Didn't you have that situation with a particular painting where you raised the price and that's what sold it?
I actually had somebody came in and she was lovely, okay? She was not trying to be mean at all. And she was gorgeous, beautiful. And she comes to me and she goes, can I tell you something? And I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, you know why this painting is still here and hasn't sold? I'm like, why? And she's like, because it's too low. I'm like, oh. And I did not take it the wrong way at all. She was like, you need to raise the price. And I raised the price and guess what? I sold it. So she was right. She was right. So anyway, there is definitely a lot that we learn from each other when it comes to pricing. And again, there is not a right or wrong way to do it. You just have to be really honest with yourself. What's working, what's not working. Yes, utilize the formulas. Yes, utilize a framework. Stay consistent, but you have to feel good about it. You have to feel good when you make that sale. You have to feel good when you set those prices. Otherwise, you're just going to end up upset.
Yes, for sure. It's not an exact science, but the charts will help and you dial it in. Just figure it out where you are in your career, how much other people are doing similar to you in your field. You don't want to be below them to be the lowest. You don't want to be way up here if you're starting out either. So finding that sweet spot that feels good and try it out. Again, if you're selling out faster than you can paint, your prices are too low. If you're not selling at all and your work is strong and good,
it might be also that it's too low or it's too high. You just have to you have to be really honest with yourself. Like, why is it not selling? Or are you showing it in the wrong places, right?
That also, yes.
Are you connecting? Because this is so important too. I work with my gallery in Charlotte, Shane Gallery. That's who I'm having the show with. They represent my work really well and they sell my work really well. not all galleries sell my work really well. I've had galleries that have given all the inventory back to me because their customer base is not my customer base. So you have to also look at, if you're not selling, is it too high? Is it too low? Or am I selling it in the wrong places to the wrong people? You need to answer those questions.
I think it will be so helpful to get some more gallery owners on the show. And let's ask them too. What are they looking for? How do they determine who their clients are, who the artists are that they want to work with? I think it's always fascinating to me.
Absolutely.
To hear all the sides of that.
Yes. So, that was a lot of information.
I don't even know what time it is. When we start talking, we're like,
I'm even talking about breastfeeding. Like, this has gone off the rails. But hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Like we said, we do have a couple worksheets that would be super helpful. You can sign up to our newsletter to get it, and you'll get it in your inbox, or you can send us a message. If you don't know how to sign up, we'll help you out. You can just send us your email.
They can either go to our website and sign up, which is theartconfidential.com, or you can DM us on Instagram, correct?
Yeah. Give us
The Art Confidential.
You can DM us with your email so that we can sign you up to the newsletter and send these to you. So yes, we are so excited to have had this conversation. I think it's something that we talked about literally from the first time that we said, let's do this podcast, and we started kind of brainstorming ideas. And it was one of the first topics that we're like, we need to talk about pricing.
And if you guys have like questions or stories or information that we don't know or we're not covering, you have some like hot tip, please let us know.
Yeah.
Or something you want us to cover.
Because
down.
Like we said, we're still learning too.
Yeah.
We're still figuring it out. So we are trying to give you the best tips as we know them, as things that we have seen work with other people. We have opportunities to implement some of those in our own work, but we'll work on it together.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for your support, and we will see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much. Bye. If you are loving these behind-the-scenes confessions, don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating or a review. It helps The Art Confidential reach more listeners and keeps this creative conversation growing.
Follow us on Instagram at The Art Confidential, where you can send us your questions, comments, or future topic requests. We'd love to hear from you. And you can find us personally at by Andreina and at Jacqui Fell for more of our day-to-day creative lives. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.